if you're motivated by money, I'd like to make bigger movies, but if you're motivated by the process and the work and how absolutely intrinsically beautiful and rewarding the process is, I mean, I think that's what we should all be trying to manifest.
Filmmaker Magazine presents Back to One with Peter Rinaldi.
Onur Tukel is an actor. His latest film, which he also wrote and directed, Poundcake, is a flawed, satirical masterpiece and just might be the film we need in this time. I sat down with him at his home in New York City to talk about the work.
I think the first time I saw you in something was Red Flag.
Alice Karpovsky's movie.
That's right, which I enjoyed.
Oh, yeah.
I think I had to see that because we were recording him for Kave's Getting Stoned. Something like that. I was watching Karpovsky's movies. Didn't know you. Then I saw you at Summer of Blood. That's where I met you. I don't know if you remember that.
Was it the premiere or a couple of screenings in?
No, that was like Villain. Is that the place? Villain?
I don't know the Villain. Is that the venue?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Brooklyn. It was Matt Grady.
The Nighthawk?
Nighthawk? No.
Well, no, our
Some
screenings
weird...
okay, it must have been a screening after Tribeca then. It wasn't the Tribeca
That's
Film
right.
Festival. Okay. Oh, God, I don't know where we would have shown that movie in Brooklyn. I can't remember.
Hellaware was also shown that night.
Was it a bar? Was it in the back of a bar?
It was like this giant warehouse type place.
God, that's
in Williamsburg. You don't even remember this at all.
Vague memory of it, yeah.
All right, so anyway, then I think after
not that you're not memorable, you totally are, but I just, it's so funny the last 10 years, 12 years in New York, just, so many events, so many
different
things. Yeah.
Then I think that's when Kaveh put you in the show. And so right after I met you that night, I think shortly after that, I am doing sound on that and watching you perform. So I'm just setting this up as, and this is before, I think you were working on Applesauce or thinking about Applesauce when we were recording the show about the show.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Is it that far along?
Yeah.
2014, it would have been 2014.
2014,
That's
2015.
amazing. Well, Red Flag, I got to say, like that kind of, two movies kind of changed my life. It was Septian that I made in the summer of 2010 with Michael Tully, because he directed that, and I'd stopped making films for about 7 years. When I was on that film set, it reminded me of how amazing filmmaking is and how much I loved the process. But I'd become very disenfranchised with filmmaking after making a film about 6 years before. And then, so with Septian, I was like, oh man, I want to make movies again. And then I met Alex Karpovsky at a screening at the Tiny Furniture screening in New York, sometime in the winter of 2010. Hung out with him again at Sundance 2011 because Septian was playing there. And then he invited me to do Red Flag. And we were on the road. That's when I realized, my God, he was making the movie with a one-person crew. It was Adam Ginsberg. You know Adam Ginsberg?
I know of him,
amazing, amazing dude and great DP. But he was making it with a 5D or a 7D on the road, one person. He was miking people up like we're mic'd now. And it was just me and Karpovsky, Jennifer Prediger. And he had another producer who was on for a few days who was just kind of mapping out the logistics and stuff. And it was just a fucking blast. And the process was amazing. And I was like, okay, I've reconnected with my love of making films. Right. And then you combine that with being in New York, which I've always romanticized, and being here for the last 12 years making movies. It's been a fucking dream come true. Yeah. When I fucking try to complain about my life or my lack of success or the lack of, success, financial and critical or in the system making bigger movies, I always have to step back and just be grateful. And as I get older now, I'm reflecting. I'm just grateful, and I would love to just keep doing it. For example, and this is not an exaggeration, when I approached you to do Scenes from an Empty Church, I approached you to be in it because I thought, well, you're awesome, you're cool, I know you would be a great actor, you have a huge personality, but what a great fun time it would be to be on set just making something. And again, that's what it's all about, having this collaborative thing, making movies with people that you love, people that you respect. That's just what it's all about for me.
And we have to, I want to get back to this, exactly what you're saying here, and the dream of this, and the idea that this is finally able to be possible right now, because when I went to film school in the mid 90s, this dream wasn't possible, because everything, anything that was done on any kind of video was not something that can be theatrically shown. It was immediately judged as inadequate. Now we're in a place where it's not that way, where something could be done like this. We'll talk about that in a second, but
also too, you had to make movies on 16 millimeter, and you had to have a bigger crew. You had a crew of 15, 20, 30 people. Yeah, the whole infrastructure had to be there. And money. You needed fucking money. Not a ton of money.
No.
That's what Neil LaBute and Kevin Smith and Robert Rodriguez, they all kind of proved that, and Jim Jarmusch and Spike Lee before. You can do it for a lower budget, but you still have to find $20,000, $30,000, $40,000.
Exactly. There's still like a couple $1,000s to get the film out of the lab.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's the minimum. Forget everything else. So, but in terms of your performance style, like Karpovsky saw something in you and put you in that. So you already cultivated this kind of improvisational style at that point in your movies before this?
No, I had never even considered improv and what that even meant. Like, I didn't have the courage to do it. I didn't even know if it could be done successfully. Alex, the idea that you would come into a set with an outline and scene descriptions as opposed to an actual scripted scene with dialogue and direction, I couldn't even imagine that. Tully did that too. Tully had a very specific script, but he was very loose with the dialogue, but there was still dialogue there. And then Karpovsky was like, no, I have no use for dialogue. You create the dialogue yourself. We would have very specific conversations about it. So no, it gave me permission to say, because that's what the whole mumblecore movement was about, right? Let's just take a sledgehammer to the dialogue. Let's make it sound natural. I think I heard Duplass or something, Martin Duplass say, in real life, you don't have a script, you talk off the cuff, and that's where the naturalism is. And then later it occurred to me that that's what Scorsese was doing, and of course Cassavetes it was like, we have the dialogue, but let's blow it all up, let's make it natural. And then, I don't know, it was very freeing to do that. When I made Richard's Wedding, my first movie in New York, we had a script, a very, very specific script, but it was a little improv, but and I allow improv, but why do you ask? What do you mean?
So, but I want to know how this style of I guess something that I'm responding to you on camera, the way you are on camera, the way your persona is. You're different in each of your movies, and even Karpovsky's movies, but there is a certain, it's almost like a Woody Allen thing. Like,
I would argue that I'm not different. I would argue, I think I heard Stallone say something once. He was like, there's actors and there's performers. Actors are skilled and they have a skill set and they can do different things every time. And a performer is just performing their own personality, right? And it's like, I am definitely a performer. I would never call myself an actor, but I'm pretty good. I'm pretty natural because I'm not shy in front of the camera, but when I write and direct myself or write my own dialogue, I'm performing words that I wrote. So it's a lot easier to do that. I'm in a movie right now and it's like I have all this dialogue. I don't understand the dialogue. I asked the director for permission. I'm like, look, I need to be able to put this in my own words or I'm going to be terrible because first of all, I can't remember the specific words. You know what I mean? I can't. I'm just lazy.
You expect me to remember this stuff?
Well, it's not that because look, if somebody casts me in a movie, I always say cast someone else. Cast somebody who is a real actor, who dedicates their lives to it, who will put a lot of time into this. I'm just lazy when it comes to acting because it's not my thing. You know what I mean? I don't love the process of acting. I like doing it with my friends. I like being it. But Max Casella said something on Applesauce. He's amazing in Applesauce. He's one of the great actors, and he's very underrated. But I remember, he claims he doesn't remember this, but I specifically remember it because it changed things for me. He's like, Onur, I love the script. I like Trieste. I love Trieste. I love Jennifer Prediger. They're great. And you're a fine actor, but why are you in this? Like, I could be acting with anybody else, Kevin Corrigan or he just named a bunch of other actors. And I'm like, you're right. And I'm like, why am I doing it? And I guess it was because Summer of Blood was well received and it was pretty cool. I mean, by the very, very small group of people, but it ended up getting a couple of films made for me. And, I think I was just like, I need to put myself in a movie again because I had some kind of adolescent dream about, hey, I can make it. I can be like an Aziz Ansari type or whatever, some kind of type where Southern, like non-white kind of Turkish funny dude who could blow up. And I was approached by people after Summer of Blood, but I don't have those. I acted in Poundcake, my new movie, only because I felt like out of all the people we auditioned, and I tried to find somebody else, I felt like I was the best for the role, considering the few people that we auditioned. But I mean, for example, when you went to film school, did you study directing, writing, producing, all of it?
Directing.
So You showed me something that you directed. It was fantastic. Do you still have the dream to make a feature?
Absolutely.
I mean, obviously, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself putting yourself in the lead of that?
No, not in anything I direct. I don't.
Yeah.
That's not the dream. You know.
Okay, so if we're in agreement that things are different than they were in the '90s when you'd have
Yeah.
a lot of people and a lot of money for film processing. What you've written scripts, feature scripts to make, but are you writing? Are they bigger budgeted, or are they kind of things that you could make on a micro budget? Or
now
no
they're
budget?
finally things I could make. I spent 7 years writing something that was a commercial script that I can't do on my own.
Yeah.
That I wanted to just sell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have the connections to try to sell it? Did you do that?
This is becoming way too much. Too many questions.
Okay,
directed at me.
We'll
talk about that.
subtly, but don't cut stuff like this out of the conversation.
Don't tell me how to cut.
You're right. You're the. When I'm on a film set too, I get a lot of it's very collaborative. So I get a lot of. I'm not saying, hey, we should collaborate on this, but I would never listen and say you need to cut this or that. In fact, I'm a lot more cautious, I think, about the things I say these days.
Yeah.
Which is probably a good thing. You know what I mean?
Is, yeah.
Because I think there's a way to be. I'm all for being inappropriate or saying what you mean. When I'm on a film set and I'm surrounding myself with people, I tell them, I usually make an announcement. It's a small crew, 8 to 12, 15 people. And I say, look, you're on this set because I trust you.
Yeah.
And you trust me. And we're like a family now. So this isn't like, I don't want this to feel like it's a workplace.
Yeah.
How fucking boring to make a movie and feel like you're at work.
Right.
Like we are all friends here. So I'm going to say things as if you're a friend, which means I might say things that are fucked up or inappropriate. Yeah. And as a friend, you could say, hey, fuck that, or laugh or don't laugh, or, and you can say the same things to me. And if I lose my temper and yell like friends do, that's part of the process. And I will apologize the way friends are supposed to. And you also have the permission to tell me to go fuck myself. There's not a power structure here. There's no position of power. At the end of the day, I'm the director. I get to call the shots and make the final decision. But I mean, that's to me is what I love. That's why I can't stop doing it. That's why I'm always looking for any amount of money just to get that fixed and make something else, So anyway, I ask about you making films because obviously you're a passionate, amazing human being and people would come around you and come to you and want to please you and help you make your movie. And I just hope that you do that, and you do many of them.
That's very nice of you, man.
Yeah.
And here's the thing about what you were just saying about what Max said, which is hilarious. Yeah. I was going into Poundcake, not to just jump to Poundcake, but just to jump to Poundcake for a second. Sure. I didn't know you were in it, and I remember thinking, this sucks that Onur isn't in this, because I had become so. It is like the Woody Allen thing. Like for a while there, before he got really bad. Like you're as old. We're in the same age bracket here. So you remember the '90s when a new Woody Allen movie was very, very exciting. Yeah. And sometimes he didn't put himself in it, and it was like, all right, I'm sure this is going to be something worth seeing, but I'm gonna miss that.
Yeah, sure, of course.
That's
even when he pops up in movies now, it's always kind of refreshing and fun. He'll make me laugh. He can still get a laugh out of me.
Yeah, but that's what it's become with me with your films. Okay, so I want to see you in these things. Yeah, you are correct. Like there, especially about this one, I can't imagine anyone filling this role.
Well, filling the role, no pun intended. Well, I also have to play the role in this movie. If you think about all the outspoken things that I say in the movie that are sometimes pretty aggressive and can also be very, it could be I don't know what the word is. I'm not finding the word right now, but it's the kind of stuff that a lot of people could take umbrage with, if that's the right word. But I've heard this, but by the end of the movie, because I do the things I do, I'm literally the butt of the joke. I'm like, look, as the writer and director, I can say all these things and I take it all with a grain of salt because look at what I'm doing. Yes. And a lot of the kind of a big part of the movie is this feeling of like being middle-aged and feeling irrelevant, which is something you feel when you're older. And also as an artist in New York, an artist anywhere, there's always insecurity. You're always feeling kind of irrelevant in the wake of other people having more success or whatever, or the lack of success your movie is having. But I think to myself, this movie is about irrelevance. It's about irrelevance of being middle-aged, and cis and white, as I identify with white or Turkish or whatever. Yeah. So all those, that's a big part of what the movie's about. So it's like, I have to, even though I tried to cast someone in the role, ultimately, Celine and the producer and I, we discussed, it's like, no wonder you have to do this, not only because you're probably the best actor for the job or the best for the role, but it's also making a statement. Some kind of meta statement like, hey, look, I'm willing to make fun of everything and very sacred taboos you're not supposed to talk about, but ultimately I'm going to show that, hey, it's all kind of absurd. Don't take it too seriously because look what I'm about to do, you know? I would have rather have cast someone else, but at the end of the day, I needed to be in this, you know? So.
I think it was a good choice. But here's the thing. I want to know when you're about to do, and you could talk about, you can answer this with Poundcake or any of these, but when you're sitting at your computer and you're doing a third draft before you get to the set or whatever draft it is.
6, 7, 8.
6, 7, 8.
There's some information out there. Someone said that I never rewrite. It's like the information was, Onur says write your script as soon as possible and make it. No, write your first draft as soon as possible. And I do believe that that's the process that works for me because birth it, give life to it. And then rewrite the fuck out of it, obviously. So probably 8 or 9 drafts into this.
8 or 9 drafts. So then when you're starting to realize that you have to get in the mode of not only just the maker of this, the filmmaker, but also the person who's going to be in it. So you're going to be wearing both those hats. Is the 8th draft changing because you have to actually say these lines? Do you know what I mean? Whereas before you were just trying to make it good. Now you're like, now I have to. I have to make this doable for myself. Is that what's going on?
Well, the lines will change just if the scene's not working and it sounds like it's bad acting. It's usually the writing is bad. It's like, no, we got to make it sound more natural, so change that. Now, the scene itself may change because in Poundcake, we were shooting fly by the seat of our pants. There was a scene where there was supposed to be a priest and we couldn't get the person we wanted to play the priest. And it's like, well, we can't have the priest. So instead of having 3 people in a room, it's got to be 2 people in the room. It completely changes the whole script. That scene, so I'll rewrite that quickly and give it to the actor. So it's a combination of logistics of what's practical, scheduling, like everything, what I'm feeling in the moment. Also, of course, feedback from the actors who are saying, I don't like this line, I like that line, can I change this? And I'm like, change anything you want. Just as long as if there's a joke there that's less funny with your changes, I want it back to the way I had it before. So it's a combination of everything. I gotta say, Peter, the script is there, but I'm not married to it. I'm not proprietary about it. I don't care. I just want it to feel, when we're shooting, I want it to feel alive and I want it to feel real. Normally I shoot with 2 cameras, but on the last 2 movies, I haven't shot with 2 cameras on Scenes from New Church and this, which I think has hamstrung the process a little bit because I think comedy should be with 2 cameras. I think you allow more room for spontaneity, for mistakes, for improvisation. And I didn't really have that on this, although there is a lot of improv in this movie. For example, the podcasters who were brilliant. Michelangelo Garland and Cab Washington, they're the two black dudes who have the past podcast, and they're brilliant, and they really took scripted dialogue, and I said, look, make it natural, do your own thing, and they just brought so much fun energy. It felt like a real live podcast because they kind of threw the script out the window. They knew talking points they had to hit, but I want it to sound natural. I want it to sound real. I wanted there to be some kind of combination of mumblecore and also good writing, because at the end of the day, I think what you lose with mumblecore is, you can have some improv and some great jokes, but if you have some thought that goes ahead of it, you can just write some really good dialogue. And I think that can be lost sometimes with mumblecore. I hate watching these movies where it's like, it's 4 people in a cabin and they're not saying anything interesting. Right. And they're just like, okay, and they're making things up, and this is not interesting. And
it doesn't feel
so. If Karpovsky, put him in a room every day, any day of the week, he's going to say interesting things. Put the Curb Your Enthusiasm cast, people who know how to improv and say interesting things. Right. But some people just, But I just want to feel alive by it all, man. So because at 51. It's like looking for a reason to be inspired. Any age, looking for a reason to be inspired. Right. I'm doing what my mom does. My mom used to always say, I'm this age and blah, blah, blah. And this is why it counts, because I'm this age. It's interesting. What's interesting, Peter, if I can say this, is that the movies that I make, Summer of Blood, Applesauce, especially like The Misogynists. I made The Misogynists because of the trauma or the collective dread of Trump's presidency, right? Yeah. I made Black Magic for White Boys about gentrification because I moved into a building in Bushwick. I was the only white guy there. 5 years later, very few black people were there. They were the coolest people, and just saw them migrate out and white people come in. Again, I'm not judging and saying, hey, white people bad, it's too bad for the black people, which is gentrification. I saw it with my own eyes. Made a movie about that. Scenes from an Empty Church. We made a movie about the COVID. Taking everything, all the dread that was happening, made a movie about it. See, that Cold Dead Look in Your Eyes, a French movie I made, it was just about my unhappiness at the time when I made that. I was really in kind of a bad existential place. I hated myself. I didn't know what I was doing with my life. Everything felt like completely forlorn, and I didn't feel grounded. But with this movie, I wrote Poundcake about 4 months or 5 months after my mother died, and I was fucked up. I'm still fucked up about it. But it's like, okay, this movie is nothing about that. I mean, I could have never made this movie with my mom alive. I could have never done the things that I did. I could have made the movie, but I couldn't have put myself into the movie. It would have been too embarrassing for her, right? And like she would have thought, my family, my friends see this, but I'm like, maybe am I doing something? Completely ignore the pain I was feeling. I wanted to do something that was completely disconnected from my mother's death. I'm trying to find, as I'm doing, interviews and stuff, we have a screening coming up at Fright Fest in London, as I try to think about where this movie came from, because a lot of people ask the question, where did this movie come from? I'm trying to figure it out, and it's definitely not I'm not taking the specific grief that I had, because I don't think I wanted to touch that. I didn't want to make anything related to my mother. Maybe I will at one point, but not with this, I'm so sorry for going on a tangent like that. Interrupt me, Peter.
There's no tangents.
We like tangents. You cut all that shit out, too.
Absolutely not. Let's just sit down. Why don't we just stop and edit this right now, you and I? Let's just sit down.
Sure. Yeah.
This is going to sound like I'm blowing smoke up your ass, but you're one of the only people in independent film that I know about that when there is a new movie, I'm like, I know this person is going to take risks, and it's going to be about ideas, and it's going to be in a structure that is thoughtful, and it's going to be funny, but that's a lot of things are funny. So that's not, but why is this rare? This should not be rare. We have the tools, getting back to what you were saying before, to make movies for very little money now. And people are very smart, right? Even the generations after us, 2 generations, Generation Z, these kids are smart.
Yeah, very smart.
They could be making movies about ideas, about how they feel about the world that I might be interested in because I like these people. They're not doing it. Why? They're trying to make movies like other movies, or they're trying to wait, or they're trying to make their movie look good or something in this other kind of way that harkens back to the 20th century shit instead of looking forward. We're always going to get in your movies somebody saying something. And sometimes it's very risky, and it's very personal too. So I really appreciate this, man. With this one, I knew that there was going to be something risky and something kind of crazy, but I knew deep down that it was going to be smart. But this has so many people in it, so many characters. You did it in 11 days. I'm just trying to help me to understand how you have a very complex script that I think is saying a lot of different things in a lot of different ways. You're saying it with people talking on a podcast. You're using a genre horror, you're trying to make it funny, but you're also adding in things that are story devices, stuff that's a little bit involved, like the idea that this the character that David plays has this AI thing. You know what I mean? Like this is it's complicated. And you have all of these things that you have to engineer, and you're doing it in 11 days. You're doing it with very little money. You're doing it in this kind of guerrilla style. Give me an idea of what that is like to actually do it. Try and keep it alive improvisationally, but knowing that this has to actually lead to this, and it actually has to make sense, and it's actually saying something.
Well, I think the fact that it's got so many characters and so many storylines and so many things going on might be an indication of like me not quite knowing what I wanted to say based on my own confusion in the wake of my mother's death. You know what I mean? I think for the movie it benefits from that, and it also suffers for it. I've had people say it's fantastic, it's got so many ideas, but it's like I don't even know what the fuck the point of view is. It's all over the place, and I like that aspect about it, because I think, to some degree, if you say we're in an ADHD culture where we can't even focus on something, we've got new information every few minutes and a new scene and a new character and all these crazy things happening. I mean, there's four or so principal storylines with a lot of things happening on the periphery. Summer of Sam by Spike Lee was kind of a big influence on this movie, although unconsciously I wasn't aware of it at the time, but I'm like, later I'm like, I love that movie. Now, it's a New York movie. Spike Lee, as much as I love Woody Allen, Spike Lee had a profound influence on me in the 90s. I saw everything opening night that he would do. Like, I loved it. He was always taking chances. He was always outspoken. He didn't care if he pissed people off, and people hated him and people loved him. I was one of the ones who loved him. And, he's hit or miss now, but everybody is. When you have more to lose, he's got an empire now, you can't maybe take the risk that you took once before. And maybe he doesn't have the need to say, he's still making interesting, compelling movies. I was confused, I think, and I didn't really quite know. I wanted to make a movie because I felt like I needed to do something, but I didn't know what I wanted to make, and this just came out. And again, maybe it comes from this idea of middle-aged irrelevance and whatnot. But there's so many but I also wanted to make a quintessentially New York movie if I could, which means a lot of people and a lot of voices. And the movie is about a collective kind of lots of voices, some of them very negative, some of them very positive, in the wake of something terrible happening to a specific demographic of people that now we can all agree upon is like persona non grata. The straight white man, after years in history of we got all the rich white people, Carnegie, Rockefeller, Bushes, Trumps, Elon Musk. It's like, they are singled out, maybe for good reasons, like all the power, concentrated all the power, they keep the power to themselves, whatever. It's a comment on the demonization of the straight white man in a way that's like, okay, because we're in a very prudish culture, what can I say and do, and how can I punish these people that collectively everyone's like, straight white men, fuck them, fuck straight, and you can do that. And how do you get humor out of that? How can you have fun with that? How can I make them suffer in a prudish culture and do things to them you're not allowed to do? Because at the end of the day, there should be limits to free speech. Absolutely. I mean, come on. But in art, I don't know. Like, if you tell me I can't say something, I want to say it. I'm getting off topic. Let's. But to answer the question back before, why I keep doing it, and why maybe a young and where is the incentive to take risks? You know what I mean? Because it used to be you could make something independent film. You were supposed to do. It was counter programming to all the Hollywood stuff. Independent film was supposed to be about the stuff that's the ideas that were different, that weren't homogenized corporate product, right? And you were rewarded for it, because not only would you get into Sundance or other festivals, distributors would actually buy them and put them out. And, now you have all these wonderful movies that play at all these festivals, so much smarter and better than anything I could do or write, that you still never hear about and that still never make their money back. So where's the incentive? You know what I mean? It's like, you want to make something great. We all want to make something great and interesting and unique and original. But ultimately, it's like, well, if there's no financial reward, if we can't pay our investors back, what is the incentive to do it? You know what I mean? I think there are richer art forms that are a hell of a lot cheaper. You could make an album, you could write a novel. I mean, maybe very few people will read it or listen to the album, but if no one's seen the movie, why even take the risk? If you need to express yourself, look, at the end of the day, movies are the best. I love filmmaking more than anything, but it's like, it's as long as someone will keep giving me money, I just feel like I came to New York to do this, or that's what I'm doing until I die, or until if I have a kid or something at my fucked up decrepit age, then I have to be really responsible and dedicate my life to working for a living or working a real job for a living. I mean, I work for a living, but like I try to work as little as possible in freelance to subsidize my habit, basically. I mean, I'm ultimately an amateur. Like, I do this out of love, you know what I mean? And I think that's what sets apart the TikTokers, everyone who's putting content out there saying, I'm going to get mine, I'm going to get famous and whatnot. And very little effort You have to love the effort. You have to love the process. Look, at the end of the day, I make a movie a year, every year or two.
I have to stop you for one quick second.
Yeah.
You just said there, I'm an amateur. I do it out of love. You know what amateur.
It means someone who does it out of love. That's what Brian Berebi
literally means love.
Yeah, that's what my friend Brian Berebi said. Yeah,
right.
So
you knew that.
Yeah, well, yeah. I never thought about the idea of amateur, because amateur always seemed like a derogatory term.
Right.
But it's actually not a derogatory term at all.
No.
I mean, like, so most artists, most writers, most of them are fucking amateurs in the sense that they're not getting fucking paid. They're not a professional. If I'm not making a living at this, I'm an amateur. I'm not a professional. I think my work is professional. Poundcake. You say it's guerrilla. I would disagree with it being guerrilla. Now, it's guerrilla in the sense that we're shooting with an 11-person crew, but I do think there's a sheen of... I think the lighting, Alex Sablow's lighting, he crafted depth with the red camera that we shot on. I think it looks beautiful.
Really
we don't move the camera that much, but that's kind of by design. You know what I mean? Like, we just didn't have time to get really cinematic with it. But, so in guerrilla in the sense that, really shaky cameras are really gritty, and that's... Guerrilla definitely in the way that we made it.
Yeah,
my movies are definitely that way.
Yeah.
But I'd love to make money at it. I feel like I could make a movie that's probably more marketable, and I've written movies that are more marketable, and I'm trying to get the money to make those things. But I'm also a realist. I'm like, look, that's the people at the top that are very successful, they're the ones that get most of the opportunities, Right. I mean, because it's like, why wouldn't they? Like, if you don't even need an algorithm to say, so-and-so's successful, so-and-so's got a name, so-and-so has fans, let's invest in that. We're going to invest in this person who nobody knows, and they got there. And then also, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. But it's weird that no one yet has come upon some power in the industry and said, I want to see what this Tukel guy does. Yeah. With like $20 million. Like, not a lot.
I wouldn't even need 20. I need 2. I think 2 to show what I could really do.
You were saying that. But
Catfight cost $350,000.
Amazing.
And with having actors, that are actually known, so there was a chance for people to see it, and people have seen it. Look, it's a shaggy movie. But keep going. Apologize.
But I'm just saying, like, well, you kind of answered this by what you just said there. Like, you almost don't even know what to do with $20 million. So
but Peter, also, you have to earn that right. There are people out there fighting to get that kind of money.
Well,
and I'm not fighting.
What is earning? You've made
but I also have to be
movies
pitching
on this very low.
Sure, but I have to pitch the studios. I have to get an agent and manager. I have to fight to do those things. It's like, I can't sit back and think, why hasn't anyone come to me?
No,
you have to take that. You have to go get that.
I'm certainly not saying why.
I know people that could spend $20 million right now, and it actually would not affect them. But it's like, are they gonna? Nobody wants to lose even $50,000 or $100,000.
Right.
So it's like $20 million. That's a big,
And I'm just talking about, like, because of what you can do for so little. That's what I mean. Mm-hmm. When, like, somebody's like, here's this project, we have this amount of crazy money for it. Who amongst these kind of very talented but very low stakes filmmakers do we want for something like this? That's what I mean. I'm just wondering why somebody's not like,
Sure, but you know who deserves the $20 million movies? It's the people that went to film school, or they show their $200,000 movie at Sundance or the other bigger festivals.
Isn't that really nice of you to say?
Well, it's true. I wouldn't have said this 10 years ago, but now that I'm 51, I'm like, okay, I'm making movies from... we're all still taking a risk. I feel like I'm I have a startup company every year. Every year I get some seed money to make a movie. We make the movie, or we open a restaurant. It's like, there's a chance this thing might blow up. It usually doesn't.
There's food poisoning. And closes down.
Exactly. We got the salad pizza that we designed. And now it wasn't as it's a pizza with salad on top of it. That didn't catch on. You know what I mean? So, but I'm able to convince a few investors and say, look, let's try this. Maybe it'll work out. At the end of the day, I can't promise you that it's going to be. I can almost promise you it's not going to be profitable. Yeah. But I can also say there's a chance, tiny chance, we might get into a big festival, and then we might have a bidding war, and it might actually sell. Chances are very, very low, and I don't want $1 from you if you can't afford to lose that dollar. Right. So I manage expectations. When I was younger, it was much different.
All right. Let's just say this.
But it's freeing. It's liberating, Peter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Which is the point of independent film, to take risks. Right. If you're not spending a lot of fucking money, then you should be taking risks.
That right there.
You know what I mean?
That
yes.
right there.
But that used to be the fact in the 90s. It's like, okay, Hollywood's doing its thing and India's doing its thing because it can take risks. And people were they were putting it in theaters and people were actually going to watch it. I mean, people aren't going to the theater to watch the movies at the end of the day. So, I mean,
This is what I'm saying. Why not then? Because you're not getting into the industry anyway, and there may not even be an industry. Why aren't you just taking risks, doing insane stories right now like you just did? Mm-hmm. Or like Joanna Arno is another person, right?
Yeah.
That's big risks. Like I don't know with this new movie, but I'm just saying like that's a kind of person who with I Hate Myself. She's making this kind of personal movie. This is what I want people to do. I want people to take big risks like this about personal things because there's no industry. You might as well do that.
Yeah, but do you go to the regional festivals, the regional film festivals? If you ever go to them and you see the things that people are doing, that's where you see that stuff. There's a lot of very, very gritty, very low budget stuff on the regional film festival level where you see amazing work.
Is it good though? Is it good?
Some of it's good, some of it's bad. I mean, I can't say I can't say what's good or bad. I can say I like some of it. I don't like some of it. This idea of good or bad, that's so done now because it's subjective.
Do you like
it? Yeah, of course. Yeah. I hate best of lists at the end of the year. This is the best movies of the year. This is the best. Fuck that. No, it's movies that you like the most.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know what's good or bad. I know what I like or don't like, and I see tons of shit that I fucking love, and I see a lot of stuff that I'm like, okay, I don't like that. There's a lot of that stuff. But the regional festivals are amazing, and I'm sure the big festivals too, but there's almost it seems like there is a formula for the bigger festivals that have become a little less. Right. But I can't say that with conviction because, I didn't go to any movies at fucking Tribeca this year. We didn't get into Tribeca, and I'm like, what the fuck? How did we not get into Tribeca?
That's insane.
With this movie and this cast, this is a modern movie.
Put it at midnight. Put this movie at midnight. It's an
absolute midnight movie. Here's the thing too. Going back to expectations, when we showed this movie on Friday, August 11th and Sunday, August 13th at the Roxy Cinema in Tribeca. You were there for the Sunday screening. We sold out both screenings. I mean, there were empty seats. Some people didn't show up, but we sold out both screenings basically. And I'm celebrating after both screenings. Everyone has a really good time. It's a big cast, so you have a big cast. They come. They bring a few friends. Yeah. Easy to sell out 2 screenings, right? 100-seat theater. But we're all celebrating. We're all drinking. Everyone's happy. Everyone's proud of the movie we've made. But I don't have that kind of delirious, naive optimism that I normally have when I make something. And so you have it when you make a piece of art. You always think, oh man, something could happen with this. An audience, it could find an audience, it could make some money. There was none of that. And I felt this sense of emptiness, mainly because I was sober too. When I'm drunk a little bit, everything feels wonderful. But it was just like, we made something cool. We did what you're supposed to do. Filmmaker Magazine. I remember reading Filmmaker Magazine, when I was making films in the 90s. And there was always this mantra of make something unique, make something original. That's what independent film is all about. And I feel like I always followed through on that. That's what independent film is supposed to do. It's the underground. It's the alternate. It's the punk rock of the corporations or whatever. I don't malign Hollywood for making stupid shit and making shit if that's what makes money. But ultimately, you can't claim Hollywood's liberal because if liberalism is about evolution and expanding consciousness and being more humane, it's like they would just make smarter movies. They wouldn't treat people like fucking idiots. And they would give us movies that and now we're having this conversation about AI. Yeah. It's just it's more of the same. That is not liberalism in my opinion. Right. You know what I mean? I'm not saying conservatives aren't intelligent or whatever. I'm not saying that obviously, but the sense of how can you spoon feed people really bad stuff? I mean, look, I don't know. It's tricky. I feel like an asshole for anytime I open my fucking mouth these days. But I guess I am an asshole.
No, if you are, then I guess I am. So
I think that's what we're.
But all right, let me ask you this, and just answer this in a way where we can be kind of let into your process. Okay, let's just say somebody says, I have $5 million. I love your films. Here's a $5 million budget. I'm the executive producer. Spend it on any film you want right now. Go.
Well, I've got a bunch.
So what are you doing with that money? $5 million budget.
I would go to scripts I've written in the past that I've always wanted to do that were $6 million. I'm a huge, I mean, Jaws is one of my favorite movies of all time. I love Robert Altman. I love the idea of a lot of actors, ensemble actors. I would probably want to try to make and I've got a script called Sink or Swim, which is a shark attack movie. It takes place at a beach. It's not really about the shark. It's kind of in the periphery, but it's about a bunch of people who come to the beach. And I would probably try to get as many, because there's probably 25 roles in it. It's like a 2.5 hour movie. It's not like an hour and a half. And I guess it could be a series, but fuck that. Movies. I don't have time to watch a fucking series. Although it depends. It all just depends. I'm watching Rick and Morty right now, and it's blowing my fucking mind.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just like, why haven't I been watching this fucking show? So, and that's not a series because every episode is its own thing.
Yeah.
So you could watch it at any moment.
Yeah.
For $5 million, the goal would be, all right, I want to make this profitable. If we sold Catfight, if we made it for $350, sold it for 4 times the amount to Netflix, which we did the day after it premiered at Toronto, hey, that's not a bad return. 4 times as much. So they'll be the same goal. If we make something for $5 million, how do we fucking make something that sells for 20?
But what I'm asking you,
and I would get stars out.
So you're saying you're using that money to get stars,
and I would make something that's very marketable, which is Sink or Swim. I would not make one of my
you're
crazy
saying
weirdo movies.
You would be the same kind of production though. It would be same kind of 11-day. With stars.
Fuck no.
Okay, so
because I don't want to make a movie in 11 days. I want 25, 30 days. I don't want to shoot fucking 8 pages a day. I want to shoot 2 or 3 pages. I want to do an action scene that's visual and incredible, that's Hitchcockian or Coen-esque or however you want to say it. It's like I want to do something cinematic.
Do you have a couple days for rehearsal with that budget?
I don't need rehearsal.
All right.
But if I have it, that's fine. I don't want to take the piss out of it. I don't want to drain the actors. I like keeping things spontaneous. If it's a comedy, I would have multiple cameras. I would design oneers. There's a great oneer shot, and I don't know if you remember in Poundcake. It's when Ava, the white crazy woman, finds out she didn't get the promotion, and then she storms up in front of the office and tells everyone to go fuck themselves and white power and all. Does the white, the Nazi salute and says white women. That's a oneer. That's a 2-minute scene in one shot, and it's a joy to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you do need time, although in that case, we did that. We designed that shot and shot it in about 2.5, 3 hours. I love cinematic. I love a oneer that feels intentional, that doesn't just feel like they're moving the camera for the sake of moving it. I love cinema. I love a beautiful orchestrated action sequence that's real and raw and not just fucking polluted and poisoned by CGI nonsense. I'm not saying CGI can't be amazing, but give me art. Give me the profound art that Hitchcock was going for, that other filmmakers who love. I don't want. I mean, think of you say about Tarantino. What a craftsman. At the end of the day. And he can be self-indulgent with his words sometimes, but like I have any room to fucking talk about that, right? But I want more days. I want more time. I want 25 days. If I had $5 million, I mean, it'd be a bigger crew. It'd probably have to be union or some asshole would try to flip it. I'm not saying they're assholes. I get there's some assholes out there. I would beg Gigi Graff, my producer of Catfight, to come out of her retirement because she had a baby and say, will you produce this? Because Gigi Graff on Catfight was just sublime.
So what is this?
And I would try to have
an important producer mean to you? So tell me why
Gigi
this was
Graff
important.
did this fucking thing once. I'll never forget it. And Celine Moreau, who produced Poundcake, was fantastic too. But it's 50. It's a totally different thing. I can get into her and talk to you about her in a second. A good producer. I just produced a movie myself. I'm not the best producer in the world because it's a very thankless job. A good producer is supposed to absorb the stress of the director. Because it's a stressful thing, there's a lot of anxiety. The producer is supposed to take all that. The last thing a producer is supposed to do is add to the stress of the director.
Right.
I just made a movie for Ariel Cavusi, and we're very close friends, and on set, we have our arguments and stuff, not on set, but outside of the set. Yeah. But on set, I lose my temper as a director and stuff. I feel like the director is allowed to do that. Actors and directors are allowed to have temper tantrums on film sets. Actually, on my film sets, lots of people have temper tantrums and yell at me as much as I yell at them. Yeah. But when you are making a movie, if you are not the director, you have no permission to lose your cool. If you lose your cool, you do it behind closed doors with whoever it is you're fucking reacting to. But it's never the director, because the director is supposed to focus, to get the best movie that you can, in my opinion, it is about making the director as comfortable as possible. The director's job is to make the actors as comfortable as possible, and to communicate with their crew. So a good producer does that, alleviates all the stress, absorbs it all, tells the director it's all going to be okay, doesn't say, we don't have enough money, you can't do this, fuck you, blah, blah, blah. And I've known a few producers to do that. Gigi Graff not only absorbed my stress and made it better, she did this fucking thing that to me just doesn't make any sense. She's helping us try to get the actors, right? I don't know, dealing with agents and managers, trying to get the actors on board. It's a fucking nightmare.
Right.
You saw that thing that Mark Ruffalo tweeted? Hey, let's all start making indie movies. You saw that? Of course it's laughable because it's like, okay, your idea, first of all, of $1 million of an indie movie is a $15 million movie made by Kenneth Lonergan, probably. Yeah. You're not going to be don't give anybody false hope that they can get you a script and your agent is actually going to read it and recommend that you do it for no money. And God bless Mark Ruffalo, his heart's in the right place, but it's absurd. Now, Georgia's trying to make a $350,000 movie. We got Hermes, we got Sandra Oh, Alicia Silverstone, Anne Heche. Now I've got Stephanie Holbrook, my casting director, and I've got Gigi Graff, both trying to navigate those treacherous waters of agents and all this other shit. And Gigi is doing that, reading over the contracts, reading big contracts, negotiating, redlining shit. And I'm like, Gigi, look, and she's sending me the contracts. I'm like, Gigi, I don't, and this is probably why I've not gone further than I am, because I'm an idiot when it comes to reading that kind of stuff. I'm like, Gigi, I can't read this. It doesn't make any sense to me. I might as well be reading Mandarin or Turkish because I don't speak Turkish. And I understand a little Turkish on the page, but not much. I'm like, Gigi, I can't do this. I can't read this. I don't know. She's like, Onur, it's okay. I like this. I like this part. Wow. I'm like, you're out of your fucking mind. But that's what makes a producer a producer. Not only can they, and she would handle the logistics, hiring the crew. We all talked about it. I mean, Gigi was a big reason why most of the crew on Catfight is women, right? We're making a movie about women. It's like we need to have women doing this. I mean, I like working with women in general anyway. But Gigi was an advocate for that. And just so smart, so intelligent, so funny. And when I make a movie, I mean, I like to be very collaborative. Let's say we were making a film together. I'll shoot a scene and I'll ask everybody what they thought. How can we make it better? If there's time, if there's no time, it's like I got to make a decision and go. But Gigi is always right beside me with a monitor, giving me ideas. And I do that with my producer, Celine on Poundcake, right beside me on the monitor, giving me ideas and also handling logistics, the schedule. Celine was brilliant. Gigi's brilliant. But that, to me, in a nutshell, producer alleviates the stress, makes it less stressful. If you're making things stressful for your director, you should not be producing movies, Even if a director is I don't know, it depends. Who brought the money? Producer is supposed to bring the money. I always have always found my own money. Producers, in the traditional sense, that's why they get the Best Picture award. So at the end of the day, they're not that thankless. Hollywood's enough to say the producer is everything. Right. But a producer normally finds the actor, finds the director, finds the script, finds the actor, director, script. Then they find the money based on those elements, and that's why a producer deserves probably the Best Picture credit at the end of the day. And if a director, sometimes a director is the producer as well. I don't put myself on as a producer normally for my movies because I feel like, my movies are so small and the producer has to do so much work. They deserve the sole credit, and it's like, it's not fair for me to take that credit with them.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So wait, this movie, you were doing stuff in this movie. Showing your body and stuff that is both, to some people, hilarious, to some people it's maybe frightening, or
it's supposed to be both. Well, I've had friends tell me, they're like, I'm watching the movie Onur and I just didn't want to see you like naked, like it's like you're my friend and I don't want to see that. I have two older brothers, right? Oof and Timur. Timur's probably more libertarian, conservative, and my brother Oof, moderate liberal, right? My conservative brother loved it. Thought it was fan-fucking-tastic. We showed it in North Carolina. A bunch of his conservative, but really, really cool fucking friends, mostly white dudes, straight white dudes, laughing, loving it. Because at the end of the day, it's like you could make a movie where the white men all get killed and they all get, tortured to death. And the cliche thing is, they're like Ben Shapiro types or ultra-conservatives and they deserve to die. But it's like, no, the people in this movie are and they don't deserve to die, obviously, but the people in this movie are all innocent victims. And I think the conservatives in North Carolina appreciated that. They laughed at it. My oldest brother, Oof, is like looking at it. He's got 2 kids. It's like, why would you do that, Onur? Why would you put yourself in this position and do these things? And even Max Casella, who said he loved the movie, is like, I would never do this. I would never. And I think Max Casella is a very brave actor.
Yeah.
You know what it was is, you know Josephine Decker, the director, actress Josephine Decker. She put me in an episode of Room 104. I think it's season 3, episode 7. And she's not shy at all. She'll get naked at the drop of a hat on camera, and it's very natural. You know, I think she said it. Marina Bronovich helped her with her body and not being ashamed of her body. And why? I mean, but she's got an amazing body, so why would she? You should be ashamed of your body regardless, right? But when she put me in the episode of Room 104, we're pretty naked in that show. I don't know. I think it freed me up a little bit. It made me kind of maybe, I don't know, absorb some of that. It's a loss of shame. It's like our bodies. I had also friends. The culture being in a place where it's like, yes, why are all these exaggerated beauty standards of what a woman or a man is supposed to look like?
Right.
Let's all celebrate our normal or mediocre bodies. So I don't know. That was part of it, like a sense of, and the fact that my mother is dead maybe freed me up a little bit to do. You know, I made Poundcake after my mom died. I made Summer of Blood right after my dad died. And I think my dad dying, I put a lot of just my anger and just unhinged. I was a little unhinged. I put that into Summer of Blood, and you can kind of see it, especially in some of the deleted scenes. I'm allowing myself to be kind of out of my mind, which is kind of beautiful. In this, I think I just allowed myself just to make more of an ass of myself in a way that I wouldn't normally do if my mom had been alive. Because,
no pun intended.
Yeah, that's right. Because I wouldn't want to. I love my mom, and I don't want to embarrass her too much. Because your friends can be like, "Did you see what Maz's son did in this movie?"
Yeah.
And like, there's a connection. It's like, and is he like that? I mean, not these. My character in the movie could be gay, may not be gay.
Yeah.
He definitely does gay things in the movie.
Yeah.
And I am just homophobic enough to be. There's a scene in the movie where the guys are like, "Have you gotten freaky deaky with a gay guy?" He's like, "I have a lot of gay friends." One of the podcasters says, "I have a lot of gay friends." And the guy's like, "Well, yeah, really? I didn't know that. Have you done anything with them?" And the guy's like, "Fuck no." And that's homophobic, and homophobic response. Why is that so disgusting? And I am homophobic enough that I'd want to clarify that I am straight, but because I don't want people to, because it's not that I don't want people to think I'm gay. I don't care if people think I'm gay, but I just think it's germane to the conversation that I'm not. But I do a lot of gay stuff in the movie, especially at the end of the movie, which is necessary. It's important. You know what I mean? It's part of the themes of the film about
Well, you call it your love letter
to the gay community. Absolutely. I've got so many gay friends. One of my best friends is gay or bi or
How do gay people really feel about this? Have you because
that's
who I want to know. I want to know what people of color feel about this movie, and I want to know what gay people feel about this movie.
I think some people of color have told me they loved it, and I think some people after the screenings on Friday and Sunday, I could tell by their muted kind of when I'm like, "You didn't like it." They're like, "I don't know." I mean, because I think I'm a white dude writing black characters that are basically saying things that are racist, or I've got an Asian person talking down and the black community saying, "Hey, the black community is homophobic and this and that." She's making generalized, just wrong statements that people do, and there could be a reaction to that, saying, "Who is this guy to say these things about?" I don't know. There was a wonderful black man, gay man in Wilmington who said he loved the movie when he watched it. That was really, really fucking funny. But during my Q&A, after my Q&A, it made him hate the movie.
Wow.
And he came up and told me this. He was very, very frank. And I'm like, I appreciate that. Please be frank. And I'm like, what did I say?
Yeah.
And I asked him about it. And I won't go into details about it. But I'm like, okay, that's right. Did he? So maybe, I don't know. My intentions.
He changed his perception of what you perceived it to be.
Or what maybe intentions for making the film were. But I got to be honest with you. It was a work in progress screening at the Cucalouras Film Festival. I put my foot in my mouth all the time. I say things that are stupid. I always talk about freedom of speech. We should be allowed to make mistakes and say things that are borderline. I mean, even racist. If you're not intending to sound racist and you don't get canceled for it, you just say, look, educate me. Let's talk about it. That is the conversation. finally I feel like the overcorrection is going away, and now people are being a lot less more forgiving about people saying stupid fucking things. You know, at the end of the day, it's about intention. Are you intending to hurt? Are you intending to cause pain? Are you intending to be racist or sexist or transphobic or whatever it is? Wait, what are we talking about?
Well, I don't know,
here?
but here's what I want to say though about what you're saying right there. This is why I feel, and again, this is a straight cis white man talking. So we can't weigh this. It doesn't weigh very much what I'm saying. Yeah. But I feel like this is a healing movie.
Yeah, we're talking about the love letter to the gay community. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's supposed to be.
I feel like in that theater, I felt like if I had the power, I want to hear what everybody has to say. I want to sit around. I want to go one by one. I never had that feeling leaving a theater. I never cared what anyone thought.
Well, okay, think about this. If you think about all the discord in America, right wing, left wing, Fox News, CNBC, and everybody hates each other and all this other stuff, right? Proud Boys and all, people on the left and stuff. Can you imagine a symposium where everyone was together and just said, "Let's work it out," and then just drank beer and hugged at the end of the day? I mean, it's the John Lennon dream of but it's like at the end of the day, it's like that's what the movie is trying to do is all the discord, all the hate, all the negativity, and again towards a target you wouldn't expect in this point, white men being the victims. That was all by design. How can we, if everyone just said, "Look, stop all this shit. Let's all." We ultimately at the end of the day, everybody wants peace. Nobody wants this. The only people that want the discord between people are the media. It's like advertising a murder that happens down the street. People will watch because they love a train wreck. People will keep listening if you tell them if you spout hate or spout negativity. The political pundits, they capitalize off of that, But ultimately, everybody wants most people want the same thing.
Right.
Most people are in the middle,
Right.
It's does that make any sense?
It does. I guess.
But does it sound fucking like lame and stupid?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, I like that you say the movie is smart because I got to say I'm very insecure about my lack of intelligence because look, I think I'm good in the realm of making silly things that are like. It's kind of smart superficially, but not hugely profound,
Well, I disagree.
Which I think Barbie is kind of similar too.
I haven't seen
although
Barbie
I love
yet.
fucking Barbie.
I haven't seen Barbie
but
yet.
It's just, I don't know. I do consider myself an idiot. I think most people are, like I just said, most people are smart, and they are, but also we're all kind of dumb. I mean, we're all kind of like cattle if you think about it. Because we're all going to fucking die. Yeah. And it's just like, we're all in denial of that. We're not all in denial of it. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross talks about how when you're confronted with it, we all basically go through the same stages of grief or whatever it is. So at the end of the day, we're all just cliches, right? Yeah. But with that knowledge that we're all going to die, that's what kind of keeps me making things. And it's like, if we're all going to die and maybe there's no point, maybe there is a point, why wouldn't you take a risk as an artist? Why not? What the fuck do you have to lose?
Right there.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, as we end here, that you have contributed, my friend, to us. That's what I want out of people. This is what I want. You're continuing to do it. I'm continuing to be proud of you. Okay? I want you to keep doing these movies, but I want you to do them. I want people to give you a little more money because that money is not going to go to waste. Yeah. You've proved that to us. You're going to use it to make something even better, in the way that you do it. And that's what we need. We need this. We need you. We need you to keep going and keep doing it. Keep yourself fucking healthy. I'll kick your ass.
And you're a sweetheart.
Okay? You need to keep yourself healthy. You need to keep doing this. Okay? Onur Tukel, thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Can I add one more thing?
One.
And then you can cut this out. If I had $5 million, I would try to make the $5 million movie. But I would also say, look, guys, we can keep this going for a few years. Let's make 10 movies for $500K. No, I'm serious. And I would say, and let's give some opportunities to people who haven't made a film in a while, and we cultivate a great body of work. We would make, look, I could make a great movie for $500K. I'd love to make a movie for $5 million, but at the same time, I feel like that's kind of the problem with Hollywood too. It's like this excess. Why are you making $250 million fucking movies? Make $251 million movies. Diversify your risk. Anyway, I got to add that because
You're right.
if you're motivated by money, I'd like to make bigger movies, but if you're motivated by the process and the work and how absolutely intrinsically beautiful and rewarding the process is, I mean, I think that's what we should all be trying to manifest, you know? It's like, you know, everybody's got a chance to tell their stories. Everyone has a chance kind of now to tell their stories. But it's like, all right, if you get a chunk of money, you're going to spend it all on yourself?
Right.
I don't know. It's antithetical. It's antithetical to me to what the arts are supposed to be, and also what liberalism is supposed to be, which is we're all supposed to be doing things collectively and putting stories out there that just aren't your run-of-the-mill drama Sundance movies, but just are saying some things that are pretty outspoken. Listen, I'm sorry. I'm rambling on too long.
No, that was a beautiful way to end. Thank you.
And also the reason I got to keep living too, and you too, is so we can work together. And I like that you said the things you're saying, but there better be some self-serving in there, like, well, I'm saying these things and giving you such compliments and praising you because I want to be in your fucking movie. And flattery goes a long fucking way.
I want someone to listen to this and say, wow, that was before they did that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also,
I'm ready
Peter,
for you.
and you're going to pledge too that you're also going to be making a feature film, right?
Absolutely.
You're going to have you read a copy of David Gordon Greenlight's children's book, Let's Make a Movie?
No.
I'm going to give you a copy before you go. Anybody who says,
it?
Well, I got a copy David signed too. I'll give it to you. I don't know if you want it, but I give it to people only who are going to make feature films. It is a very, very inspiring.
If you give it to me, I'll make a feature.
And can we keep this on the podcast? Because I want people to buy Let's Make a Movie by David Gordon Green and Onur Tukel. It's a beautiful, funny children's book, all about the process of all these zany filmmakers, all these zany kids trying to make a crazy exploitation movie. And it falls apart, things go wrong, and it's all about the drama and also picking yourself up and saying, continue, finish making the movie. It's not easy. There's a lot of adversity, but it's what it's all about, you know?
That's the most beautiful commercial that's ever been on this show.
Peter, you're a beautiful man.
You're a beautiful man. Love you.
Love you.
Back to One is a production of Filmmaker Magazine, which is a publication of The Gotham, formerly IFP. Listen to back episodes of this podcast at filmmakermagazine.com or wherever you get your podcasts.